family, Black Power. Yeah, we talking about the controversies around the new Black Panther movie, man. Everywhere I look, we got one. We got these crying ass FBA niggas. They cry about everything. I mean, y'all is like, man, y'all remind me of the little, my little daughter, man, when she always like, why they get more than me? You know what I'm saying? Everything's, and they look like act like a little kid. Y'all act like little kids. Why I ain't get as much as is there, and knowing that the other children is bigger than her, she still want what they want. And I'm not saying that they bigger than you, but what I'm saying is you act like a little child about everything. When you cry about everything, and that's what you do. You stay crying or not. And so, ain't no forward progressive movement outside of crying all the damn time. You see? Black power. And so they mad because the Panther, which is an African superhero from Wakanda in Africa, they mad because an African is playing the Black Panther, an indigenous African animal. You see what I'm saying? The Black Panther is an indigenous African animal from Africa. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you want to be Jaguar, what they had, the Quetzalcoatl in the other, you want to be Quetzalcoatl, nigga. You supposed to be Quetzalcoatl, some damn body. You want to be the Black Panther, and so this is the same shit that they got on the British actor about playing, and you had Drewski do a skit on it where, so showing where the British and shit want to play, black American role. Now the thing is, they gave it to Chadwick Boseman, which he from South Carolina. He's the classic Black Panther. They could never take that. And I already knew. I was like, ain't nobody gonna be able to step in there and and do what he did. Now it might be another. It might, yeah. He's from Africa, So, but I understand because I was a comic book collector. I was a comic book collector for a long time, and when I was young, man, I collected over like 500-600 comic books, classic shit too, classical comic book. From when I was young, I gave them to my son, and I knew the Black Panther, his comic books was in Africa. Now y'all motherfuckers, you don't want to be African, but you want to cosplay somebody that's African. So you would expect that they would get, and the fact that they gave it to Chadwick from the beginning, and like I said, the role is really his. Rest in peace to the brother. The role is his. And whoever pick up and come behind him, they really gonna be chasing his legacy any which way it go. You know, and some roles you can't duplicate the original. And so the fact that they gave it to an African man and y'all crying and shit, because that's what, they trying to do. They ain't thinking like you nigga. They trying to build a global, network. And I understand it still should be some African American, because we the one that built Marvel Comics. We understand that. But they don't say shit because they got, a lot of them a lot of them characters is from other countries. But you don't hear people crying about that shit though. Just like the X-Men's and all of them motherfuckers. They're just like the motherfucker Wolverine. Wolverine was from Canada. He was from Canada. The motherfucker that played Colossus, he was from Russia. He was from Russia. Storm was her mother was, her father was from New York, but her mother was from Kenya. You understand what I'm saying? Her mother was from Kenya. And so it's a lot of them characters, you know. Dr. Doom. What was that mother? He was from Germany. You know, so them characters was, yeah, Nightcrawler is German. So all of them characters is from all over. You know, so if they just happen to pick somebody, okay, Bishop is Black American and Australian Aboriginal, yeah, okay. And then now I think the brother, what was his name? Luke, was it Luke Cage? I think he was from here, you know, but I mean, once you understand it, and so if they happen to choose somebody from an actor from if you pick an actor from the original country that the you gonna from all these characters is coming from, are you gonna are you gonna cry about that? Is is you gonna cry about that? Of course you want to have some, but you want the shit to be real. You don't want a bunch of fake motherfuckers cosplaying. You want the shit to be as real as possible. You want the shit to be as real as possible, reflecting from where it come from. And so if you got actors, and yeah, you want the American in there. You want it, but it not at the point where you cosplaying just like the British. Well, he's not the only Panther. There's other Panthers than T'Challa. It was more than the Panther is ongoing. He wasn't the only Panther. It was Panthers before him. It was Panthers before him. He's not the only Panther. So in the movie and in the comic books, I'm not for sure, but he might have died. He might have died. He might have died in the comic books, because I think his sister. Yeah, I think his sister actually might have became the Panther after he passed. I think she was the next that became the Panther. They trying to get rid of him. Well, they know he was too powerful. They knew he was too powerful. They didn't like that. He most definitely and I think and I don't think they should have got rid of him so quick, because he was most definitely the most prominent Black Panther. He was the most prominent Black Panther, and so most definitely, because he was kicking ass, and they really probably don't want to show a lot of the ass kickings that he was giving out in Marvel Comics. Yeah. Yeah, well, you know what, it's people had to, long as they, and it'll be a place. I'm mad that they fucking took Luke Cage off of Netflix. That shit was the shit. You know what I'm saying? When they had Luke Cage on, what was it called, on Netflix, that was the shit. Man, I was so mad that they took that damn show off. Man, that was like that shit took me back. You know what I'm saying? That shit took me back. I say, whoa, they had a hit with that motherfucker. But uh huh, yeah, yeah. It was. I liked it. It was a nice show. compared to a lot of the shit that's out here today. And then they were showing the city, showing Harlem, and had a lot of the black music. It reminded me of that one show, that New York. What was that show they used to come on back in the day, and they had all the artists in it, and it was the black guy, bald head black guy, and then he had that, what was it, little Puerto Rican guy was with him too. What was the name of that show? It was real popular. New York or something. It wasn't New York Undercover. Yeah, it was New York Undercover. It kind of had that, but it was black. You know what I'm saying? Having the artists and shit in there and everything. But yeah, that it kind of did that. Luke Cage kind of, but it was black. You know what I'm saying? But it had all the artists and shit showing, and I like that. Giving the artists a play and shit. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I appreciate y'all being here, y'all. I'm gonna go on the other channel. I'm gonna drop it again so y'all can come. I'm gonna build on it even deeper. Uh, Patreon, click the link. I got 5, been uploading 5 over there. General Seti, Etsy, One Stop, KingSeti.com, and I'll see y'all in a minute. Boom, Black Pop.